think, get the parasite thing out of the
It's
way.
very, very good. I mean, it brought, and of course I got the message. I didn't get it from the internet. I got it from upstairs, So there's something to be said for
Yeah, me
that.
too.
Let's see here. Okay, all right. Let me go in and tag Gareth on Facebook, so it comes up on his timeline. Oop. All right. Let's see here. Yeah, there's been just I knew this past weekend, like I said, I was going to get some direction. I was telling Katie I'm heading back to the U.S. A week from tomorrow. And I don't know, man. Today's Tuesday here. It's Wednesday over there. But Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Monday and Tuesday have just been like, I mean, I can see it's like the Red Sea's parting. Yeah, so it's nice, very nice. And I'm picking it up from, other people that I'm interacting with, as I'm setting up shows and some of the shows I've done. Let's see here. What we got going on? We got 1, 2, 3, 4. They're all live. They'll start coming in.
Yeah, YouTube didn't alert me that it's live, but
Yeah,
there it is.
Yeah, one shadow bans you. They all do. I figured out. But we seem to be
Yeah,
breaking. Yeah, they're all connected. Yeah, we seem to be breaking through the algorithms though. We're getting a lot of concrete engagements, so that's nice.
Good.
Yeah, that's real nice. We got 9 people in the house, so I think we can go ahead and get started. Let me just put up Gareth's name. Boom. All right. So here we are, our weekly gathering with Gareth Jenkins and Katie Kiss. We're connecting the northern and southern hemisphere in these awesome times that we're having, and so much is going on. So much is being revealed, and every day when I get up on the internet just to see what's happening on the world movie script, it's just falling apart, man. It's absolutely blowing up in its own face. It's hilarious, in the sense of, the ridiculousness of it, which my friend Franco talked about before he transitioned, that this time would come and things would get so ridiculous. Like, for example, I saw today where the head of I think it's called the National Counter-Terrorist. It's right under Tulsi Gabbard of the National Intelligence. She's the chief of the National Intelligence, and then would be a deputy. And this guy was real pro MAGA and all that. And he resigned with a letter saying that the U.S. has no reason to be in Iran.
Yes.
He said
I just saw that.
Did you see that? Yeah. I mean, that took some balls, and he's taking some heat. But the point is, I don't know his name.
Go on.
But yeah, his wife died, serving and so on. But so there's, there's this point that it just gets to be ridiculous, and people say, enough is enough is enough. And this is what my friend talked about. He said people would not even be able to go on to Facebook because there would be so much, diverse in the sense of, information / disinformation, propaganda, whatever. And it just wouldn't register in a soul once they got to a certain point of illumination. Even on an unconscious level, they would just reject these streams that, what I would call like a false flag frequency. But yeah, so it's interesting to see what's happening. And there's many, many different examples, not even strictly in the political atmosphere. But yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
And I think that the cream is rising to the top through humility and integrity and autonomy. And also, of course, co-creation and collaboration like this. So, all right. Well, you guys have a great show. I'm going to take my position in the non-physical, and my voice will still be here. No, I'm kidding. But all right. You guys have a great show.
Cheers, mate. Thanks, Don. Can I
Oh, it was Joe
expand?
Kent. It was Joe Kent Todd who resigned. I cannot, in good conscience, support the ongoing war in Iran. Iran posed no imminent threat to our nation, and it is clear that we started this war due to pressure from Israel and its powerful American lobby.
Not wild. Well, Gareth, are you having a problem?
Oh, no, it's all right. I was
You,
just aligning the screen.
oh, okay, you got it?
I just,
Okay. All right. So, all
all
right.
good.
All right, I'm here.
It's my end. Yeah, right. Okay. Well, I mean, the psy-op that's playing out is huge, massive, most intense psy-op we've ever seen, really. I mean, the whole last 12,000 years has been this sort of battle, and there's this whole psy-op, and the flow of information has been used as a weapon, and there's been a counter move against the group behind that getting upper hand in that, etc. It's been going on throughout history. But right now, it's both
Showing
sides
itself.
playing each other. What was that?
Yeah. It's showing itself.
And that's the whole name of the game. The psy-op itself, the control of the flow of information showing itself to everybody on the planet. That's the whole thing. People
Yeah,
have to see that.
people keep sending me this political stuff and all this stuff, and I just reply back, I have no idea what's real anymore. I don't know what's
Mm,
true. I don't know why you're taking a side. Like,
mm,
there's no side in this.
yeah,
Like, by all means, celebrate Trump or condemn Trump. I don't give a shit. Like, none of it's real and none of us can tell.
yeah. That's the hard part is that there's this third option. You don't have to go left, right, this side, that side. There is a third option. Step back and watch both, all of it. And that's the bit that the programming we've all been subjected to fights against because, again, we're protecting insecurity, our own sense of insecurity from childhood. And our whole belief system, a picture of reality, is based on that rather than reality. And again, that's the soil. Once you're put in that situation as a child, your attention is pulled out of the natural state, the absolute reality, as Tom called it, of truth of who you are and where you are. That's a given. You're born into it. There's no, you're not even conscious that it's a thing because there's nothing to compare it to. Then suddenly you're put in a situation where someone above someone, some adult who's gone through the same process you're about to go through, projects their own internal battle with this onto you. Your attention gets pulled out of the flow of life into this idea about it, and you don't even have words for it yet. As a child, you're shocked out of your awareness simply moving with reality into this. Hang on a minute, what? This question, like I've got to be something for someone, and then the words start coming. Belief forms around that. It's where you put your attention. And I remember, I've been told along the way, the only thing we can control is where we put our attention, and we're not used to we've never been really shown that before, or told that before, or put through a process where we've got to get a handle on that. And that's what's happening right now. Where do you put your attention? And knowing that there's this objective place that you got to recognize you don't know what's going on. And then a lot of people are starting to get to that point. So by default, it pulls your attention out of the opinion that's this false construct demands that we keep getting pulled into a belief system about what we're looking at so that we can manage that insecurity, that first feeling we got pulled into, which is really an idea. It's not an emotion, it's an idea. And we've got to come up with a counter move and a strategy, and a whole life's a strategy about dealing with it. And they play that, the whole system. Once you get pulled in, your attention's pulled into that false matrix of belief systems, then they can steer your attention. And social engineering is all based on that. So the psy-op has to be seen. And people recognizing that there's way more going on than they can understand at the moment.
Oh yeah.
But here they are. Here we are. It's
But
happening anyway.
everyone's still clutching to understand, to be the one who knows, to have a knowing of what's happening. I'm like, why would you even want to pretend to know what's happening? Like, why? I've just given that up. Like, every single thing I ever thought until my awakening was hand fed to me. It wasn't my own thought. It wasn't my own belief. Like, everything was the shit out there. The virtue signaling, the belief systems. Like, I can't get my head around the fuckery and the fakery. I don't know if you followed mine and Sam's conversation in the chat earlier, but everything is fuckery and fakery. It's very painful. And I don't know why it has to be painful when both of us, she and I, both know. Not like the one who knows, but we know. Like, don't get attached to this. Don't think this is that way. Don't, like, you have the higher perspective. Yet, so why does it hurt being here? Why? Like, I know it's not the Katie. I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to be tonight. I'm so over all of it.
Yeah, I mean, everybody is on a lot of levels, but you know better, but there's a lot of you in the past that doesn't yet. And so the flow of events in the present moment moving forward are really right now about
Triggering
bringing
that.
the rest of you into the moment that's stuck in the past. Yeah. So all the way back to we get younger and younger and younger and younger and younger until we're right back at that first moment we were pulled out of ourselves. So we're bringing what we know now in the present moment to the rest of us that's stuck in the past. The less of us is stuck in the past, the more of us is available to see the present moment. So our consciousness and our ability to discern gets more and more refined. Our emotional intelligence gets more and more powerful. So the intensity of the psy-op has less impact because the ability to be objective becomes more within our hands. Again, it's all about where you put your attention. So the power of the patterns that pull us into managing the what we perceive as the threat, because that's what it looks like. The energy behind that pattern, which is all of the unresolved energy of the experiences we've had growing up and all through our lives. That because the reason they're unresolved is simply because there's an absolute truth to who we are and where we are that doesn't agree with our opinion, and that has to be resolved back to the truth. If it isn't, it gets stuck in the past. All right, so that energy fuels the patterns, and these sort of patterns of behavior, drug addiction can come from it, alcoholism, but also habits of thinking. What actually happens is we push it all subconsciously, and then it comes out sideways, out of our control, as a behavior pattern or a reaction that we don't have any control over. Now, what that's actually doing is it's a message from our true self, putting it in front of us, saying, look at this, because this is an unresolved pattern. So it feels like a problem, but really it's the solution as well. It's just a matter of reading it. So the more of us becomes present in this living moment, the more we can handle being in the intensity of this without just going straight into reaction. The more we do that, the more we can see. The more we hold the question, what's the truth, the more we draw into us the skills, the people, the awareness that catches the knowing, like, oh, that's significant. It might be a sentence from Ramana Maharshi, or it might be something someone says that matches you right now. that adds to your ability to discern what's going on, and you don't need to control that. In fact, it's better if you don't. You just got to have the question, what's the real truth? And that's what this psy-op from the white hat point of view is all about, is exposing the fact
Yeah.
that the flow of
Yeah.
information is being controlled. Everything we think is, like you say,
Yeah.
it's not really us. But the reason
Yeah.
it gets us is because we don't feel secure in ourselves. If that's not there, they can't touch us. If you see through, if it's like the fear of flying, the analogy I use, the fear of flying, you keep getting on a plane enough, eventually there's no energy left in the pattern. It lets you go. Then the event can't touch you anymore that way. And it's not something you will yourself into being. It's something that naturally occurs through direct experience that it's not true, that you aren't insecure, that you are
Yeah.
perfect as you are, etc. And the only way to do that is to let this process play out with the question,
Yeah,
what's really going on?
Teresa has had some really good comments in the chat. She's like, I just know nothing is what it appears and there are no mistakes. Like it's all on a need to know basis.
Yeah,
And I can tell and I know that and I live that. It's also uncomfortable. After all these years, it's so uncomfortable existing in this.
very.
After living so unconsciously for so long, everything is the inversion now. Everything looks just gross to me.
Yeah, that's it. It's pretty total. It's a total eclipse. But that's again, it's the scale of the lie. Once you sort of become aware that of the scale of this, it's one way to become aware of the scale of the illusion that they've created, because it's the human race's entire paradigm. Again, Tom said, you
It's
insist you have a
massive.
human nature. Think of that for a sec. We have a definition of human nature that's universal to the entire human race, and it's fundamentally flawed. It's designed to stop us connecting with the truth of who we are, and yet everybody is connected to it all around the world. And from that comes a viewpoint of the world which is complete. So, when I describe paradigm, not everybody understands what the word paradigm means. So I'll try and explain it, but it's your entire worldview, your entire view of yourself and the entire universe. Who are we? What are we? Where are we? What is reality? What isn't it? Now, obviously, your paradigm is full of, within yourself that your entire view of the universe entails a lot of unknowns, but it's the stuff we think we know that gets in the way of the truth. And that's been artificially constructed and engineered into the human race deliberately to stop us accessing the truth. So our complete paradigm, the belief system we operate from, is the problem. So the solution is to challenge our entire belief system. And that's why the transition is occurring the way it is. And that's why Tom said of it, it's better for you if you choose it. The only thing you have to do is choose to be open to the truth being something other than you see. Like, was it Teresa or who commented on that nothing is what it seems? Now,
Yeah.
that's a lot. Nothing is what it seems. When you feel the way you do, Katie, everything feels black, and yet nothing is the way it seems, which means the feeling, what creates that feeling, isn't real. Therefore, the feeling you're in, the impact this paradigm has had on you is that big and that powerful, and yet you also know it's not real. So you're caught in something that you can't control, but you've got this question, what's the truth? It's better for you if you choose it. Now, the interesting thing that happens is your relationship to what's about to play out is completely different, because you've got the open-mindedness to know that there's an answer to the question, what's the truth? And when the destruction of the paradigm, which is happening, it is going to collapse. The rug is going to get pulled out from under everybody's feet, everyone's feet on the planet, no matter what religion they're in, no matter how convinced they are of their sense of reality. It is going to be pulled apart to the point where they're on their knees.
Thank
But
God.
your relationship to
Thank
that
God.
process is very powerfully. That's all you need. What's the truth? And because it's an absolute reality, it
It's but
shows itself.
I think because I went to zero, ground zero for lack of a better, like because I went straight there, I think it's just so uncomfortable in such a
Yeah.
way. Like I don't have words for how I feel. I don't have words for how I feel when I wake up in the morning. And fucking people love and lighting me to shit. Like I'm so over it. I am all about joy of life. I am all about celebratory and light and love, and I'm all
It's a
about
natural.
it. I can't
Yeah.
feel it right now. I can't just will it into being. I
No.
can be so joyful on a Zoom 5 hours ago with the vision course I'm taking. I can be so joyful and in a heartbeat be like this right after.
Yeah.
I don't have the words for the ones telling me to smile it away, laugh it away. I fuck off.
Yeah. Well,
I
it's
can't.
suppression. You can't suppress. When you are the fundamental premise of satsang, when you argue with what is, you suffer. The fact is, you feel this way and you see things this way. That is what is. Now, the reason why it's so powerful is because it serves a purpose. Like I said, these patterns that come out sideways that we feel really bad, they seem to prove that we're not right as we are. We suppress ourselves in order to be someone who will get love, because that's what the implication of that first moment where we're pulled out of the security of who we are into the insecurity of needing to be someone. That's suppression. We have to suppress the truth of who we are and then model and be, to figure out, like, what is it I'm supposed to be worthy of love? Now, of course, the assumption that you carry with you everywhere is that it's true that you're not worthy of love. And that assumption never gets looked at. So that's where the imbalance lies. We assume that we aren't worthy as love, that we aren't perfect as we are. And that's false. So these patterns that come out, they can be in all sorts of different forms. They take different forms through our life. We try to deal with them as best we can, etc. What they feel like they're doing, we act in a certain way that creates a consequence that people around us react to. They seem to prove that we're not right as we are, when really it's the other way around. They're coming from the assumption and they're mirroring back to us the belief system that caught it. So that's why Tom said it's important to name it. That's why Ramana Maharshi said, you can't let it go. All you can do is be willing to see it. It will let you go. So when you realize that that's what's happening, it's a messenger. This whole thing about in the end times, it's in the Old Testament. I will send you angels, like angels. Well, that's what this is playing out. It's our conditioning being brought out into the open as a messenger to point us back to where it came from. So there's a code in it. And when you learn how to read that code, which is what the Byron Katie method was designed to do, our belief system, challenging the story. So that's hard to do. You've got to let the feeling be there rather than try and control it. That's what these people are trying to do. It's the spiritual side of the dark coin. It's a coin, suppression. You can jump from one side of the coin to the other, thinking that you've freed yourself from the problem, when you're just doing the other. You're just doing the same thing. You've just changed the clothes you're wearing, in a sense, but it's you're trying to control the feeling and edit it out of reality, and all you're doing is making it real. And the anger you feel, which is universal into a lot of us, is because you know that's what was done to us. That first moment we were pulled out of ourselves, it was the impact of that model on the people around us that was transferred to us that caused the whole problem in the first place. So anyone who keeps on bringing that into our lives, in a sense, they embody the problem. But again, there's a way to turn it around. See, the problem for us isn't that these people are the way they are, it's that we believed it. We hooked into it. And this is again where the mirror, the Byron Katie method, along with satsang, is so vital right now. And again, it's not about Byron Katie, it's not about Ramana Maharshi. These are delivery vehicles of what was sent to us for this time in history so that we could manage, meet, and move through the transition. 4 pillars of the transition, the 4 ways to go full circle to get balance within this entire paradigm, because that's why it's full circle. It's why you need 4 cardinal directions to reorient ourselves to the inversion being reversed. So you can actually use that judgment to turn it around and see how you took it on like it was yours to own. Now, again, it's intense. Believe me, I know. It's not a destination, it's a way of life. And right now, moving with this process is all about getting free of the pain. So it's all about the pain. But that's not what life's about. And that's that when you get a handle on the flow of life, that you can't control life, you only control where you put your attention. It stops being about, once you're free of all the residue of the past and you come back into the living moment, fully present as you are, as life is, like you were when you were born. But as an adult now, the ability to discern it from the truth, it can never be taken away from you again. Now that same methodology is about connecting with the joy of life everywhere you go. And that's all you see. You see through the impact of the inversion on everyone around you, on everything around you, because you know what it is. When you know your own mind, you know all minds. You see through it because you've seen through it to your own heart. You see through it to the heart of everything, which is love. Right now, all you can see is the inversion, and that's fair enough, but it's part of the process. And I think personally, a big part of your soul purpose and the reason why it happened the way it did is because what you've experienced is what the majority of the human race is going to experience when the rug gets pulled out from under them. The reason Tom said it's better for you if you choose it, they're going to have to go from believing everything is the way they think it is to believing nothing is the way they think it is, like that. So the impact it's going to have on them is huge.
I think
you'll be able to know what you're talking about
to help them
because you've lived it.
Right.
So you're in a process of living it, and it's all timed perfectly, and you can trust that in it. Knowing you can trust that. Yes, I know, but just listen to this for 1 second, then I'll shut up. But knowing you can trust that brings up all. It brings up all the parts of yourself from the past that don't trust it. As soon as you say that, I know this is the truth, I trust it, you say yes to allowing all the parts of yourself that don't know that yet coming up. That's what you're seeing is coming to you through. Right. That's why constellation work, family system constellation work, healing trauma within the family, giving back what's not yours, simplifies your process. That's why it was brought to us. That's why the Byron Katie method of questioning our belief system, the methodology to do that, like learning how to paint, you need a technique first. And it's all about learning the technique for a while because it's a lot. And then eventually you do it enough, it gets second nature. Then it's just about painting. So this is the same thing, getting the technique of how to challenge the story while you're feeling intensely like you need to manage it. Without doing that, without just reacting, your attention goes off into reaction and you try to fix the problem. You keep, I'm doing it again. You pull your attention back. Love and light, brother, sister. You're not the enemy. Diffuses the need to do that. What am I believing about them? Judging about them? Oh, okay. Challenge the story we tell ourselves because that's what's creating the feeling. It's not a feeling. It's a thought masquerading as a feeling. We generate it by believing things are the way they are. We take the full stop out and we put a question mark there. Now what do? Well, you use the technique, the 4 questions. You play around with different points of view. Is it true? Can I really know it's true, etc.? Then you play around with the different points of view of looking at this from the turnaround until the magic one that you need to connect with in a moment clicks and boof, another layer of energy's gone and etc. It keeps on going and you get Tom brings to you and all of us on this call, everyone in the human race, exactly the right sequence of experiences to match where you're at and where you need to go in perfect harmony. Even though it looks like the opposite. And all we got to do is keep on allowing room for that, even if you've got to phone it in, that's the truth. Because what else am I going to do? Here I am, this is happening, I've got no idea what to do. Here's this guy saying, hey, this is what I did. Don't take my word for it, find out for yourself. My direct experience isn't what's important for any of you, yours is, but you won't have it if you're not open to it. The way to be open to it is, I don't know. Okay, now let's give this a try. And eventually your awareness of the technique, it's internalized. And now you're not arguing with the help anymore. Your ability to be objective in the face of this psy-op becomes really clear because you realize it's serving you. The enemy becomes your friend. The experiences that make you feel like shit and the people that piss you off are a gift. They're because you realize the problem's coming from your thinking, not from them. It may be true of them, but for you, your responsibility is to get clear of your opinions that don't match reality about yourself, about everything else. And there's a methodology to do that, and it's challenging the story we tell ourselves that defines the moment that isn't true of it. And that all started with that one moment where we defined ourselves as we're not worthy as we are. And of course, now our love is conditional with everything. We have all these conditions on how life and people have to be. And that's the problem the entire human race has. And that's what they've played us with. That's how the COVID thing worked. It's why people reacted and went with it. Oh my God.
It's so in everything. It's so in everything. It's like diabolical, like you've described for so many years, the octopi that bind. It's just so infiltrating. I can't, it's like I couldn't get away from it if I tried, right? I know that.
Yeah. Wherever you go, you'll always be there.
I just don't even know what to say. It just seems like so many years of this.
I know.
And then, like, what am I doing here talking about it? Like,
being vulnerable, the one thing no one can do, the hardest thing to do. And that's, your ability to do that is just a gift to everybody you come in contact with. Isn't it? Everyone on the show, seriously, who else out there is doing this? It's like you're speaking for everybody. You're giving them the words to this that a lot of people don't even know they have until they hear you, see you model. This is real. And have this conversation that is talking about something that is so buried and has been for thousands of years. You can't will that into being. You can only live your own life's trajectory, and we connect, and this is happening all around the world. All sorts of people are doing it. But your gift to be vulnerable in the face of all of this is massive, and I think everybody has the fear. What are we trying to manage? The fear of being vulnerable to life because we don't feel like we're up to it.
It's like I don't even know. It's like I don't even know what I'm crying about, too. There's like a level of that. Like, I don't know what I'm crying about. I don't know what I'm feeling. I don't know if what I'm feeling is my own. It's like there's such sensitivity to everything. And then just like everything falling apart all these years.
Great.
And I don't even know what I'm getting upset about.
It's okay. It's grief, fundamentally grief. You could say. We're losing who we thought we were and what we thought we had and where we thought we were. We're losing it all. And we lost it the moment we separated from ourselves. So the grief has always been there. We lost our true self.
I think there's some I think there's definitely some impatience, right? Resistance. It's that when you suffer, when you resist what is, you suffer, right? And so like I think there's some timeline that I'm supposed to be on. Like all these things that are happening out there in the world right now for everybody happened to me 5 years ago, right? Like the rug was ripped out from under me 5 years ago. So there's this level of what is your problem, Katie? You've been acclimating to this for so long. Why are you like this? After all this time, it's like I put a timeline on my own grief, which isn't a thing.
No, exactly. And look at the underlying attitude to that. Why is it a problem for you is a deeper question that you are. When you argue what it is you suffer has a lot of faces. So you're in this.
Yeah,
This is happening, and yet you're
I'm
fighting
all
it
in.
too.
Yeah,
You are, and you're
yeah,
feeling. You know what I mean? You're 6 years later. You're crying, and there's this voice coming in saying this shouldn't be happening the way it is. Somehow,
yeah.
however you want to define it.
Right. Sure. Absolutely. Spot on.
And
It's
that's where
like
the
I was
questions come in.
talking.
Do you know that's true?
Right.
The-
No,
the-
I like every time I ask, can you know that's true? I absolutely can never know that's true. I think I'm exhausted of not knowing anything's true, too, right? I mean, I was talking to Roseanne earlier this week. I don't know, maybe it was even today. Who the hell knows? Is time even real for anyone anymore? My God. So like so
It's been
Roseanne
a
and
long
I were
year this
going
year.
back. What's that?
March has been a long year.
March has been a long year. So I was talking to Roseanne and I think we were in an Instagram instant messaging or whatever. And I was just talking about trauma isn't even real. Like it's not real. The truth of who we are is untouched by any of it. But try telling that to the Katie whose baby's dead, right? Like, but at the same time, and I know I always go to that for the example, but it's the most acute example I have, right? So it's not even real anymore. It was an experience. It was the putting the judgment of the experience, putting the judgment on the experience. I can't say it correctly. You would be able to say it really eloquently, but I can't. Somehow, like all this healing we need to do. No, we don't. No, we don't. Like, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but it's not a thing. It's in the past. None of that is real. I go in these, like, it feels like infinite loops of having such a clear understanding of the things that have happened to all of us, and also knowing none of it's fucking real. Like, who cares about any of it?
Frustrating. It's frustrating. I know. But this is what I mean, though. One of the core things Ramana kept saying that's in the way of people being at peace is not being fully present in the living moment. Now, what does that mean? Like I've said, there's so many parts. We're splintered, divide and conquer. Again, has a lot of faces. That's the strategy of those of the interference. Our sense of self is fractured by all of these experiences that don't agree with the truth. That really, where's the power? What created that experience and the residual energy and the stuck in the pastness is our belief in it, not the external catalyst that we've always thought we're a victim of. That keeps us stuck. We're victims of a perpetrator, and then we become the perpetrator. We become what we judge over time, and that just keeps on feeding the self-doubt. But those parts of ourselves, we took on an experience, we defined it in the wrong way, and we took it on as if it was us. So, like that experience you had with the baby, the dead baby, for instance. There's the Katie in this living moment. There's a lot of Katie in the living moment who knows the reality. that the truth of who you are is untouched by anything, that the feeling and the experience were generated by a mistake in thinking, an assumption, a false assumption. But again, there are a lot of Katie's in the past, and think of that experience as a well of emotion that's connected in a lot of ways to all the other experiences that line up with it. They're all there's a feeling, a well of emotion behind it. Again, it's a feeling, it's a distortion of love generated by thought. We can co-create reality. Well, what that means is we take the love of the all it is and turn it into something else through our belief system. So we feel insecurity, fear, doubt, shame, guilt. Ram and I made the comment that they're all feeling. They're not feelings. There's no emotion. There's only one emotion, love, energy in motion. These are all thoughts masquerading as feelings, is the way he put it. So we believe a certain thing which generates an experience. If we don't like the experience, instead of changing what we define the experience delivered to us, we change the one who has that point of view. We look back at the point of view. That's where the error of thinking is, in the one who thought that, who saw it that way. So when you bring that knowledge that you can surrender to the truth of that grief by saying, connecting with the reality of Byron Katie sat saying, the truth of who you are is untouched by any of it. You're not your mind. It's thoughts masquerading as feelings, etc. Then you're inviting all of that past to come into that field and resolve itself. Finally, it has somewhere to resolve itself. That's all it wants. That's all these patterns want. Alcoholism is a way to manage this feeling, this unresolved feeling. You can't let alcoholism go. All you can do is be willing to see it. What is it really? It's not about the alcohol, the feeling you get from it. It's about the false belief. So when you connect with the absolute reality, the whole point of the ego that controls and the absolute reality being the problem, when you connect with that, what that means, you invite all of this unresolvedness to come into the field. So, of course, you're going to feel that. But that's the whole point, is to take that feeling and that belief, that experience, and put it into that field of not knowing. And then look at the thinking from a perspective that's objective. So there's going to be a whole lot of you caught up in it. And there's this add a fifth element. This is truth of who you are. The question, what's the truth, connects with the ego in service to self, the Nazarene within us all, the sacred masculine. You allow room for that perspective, but what's the real truth? You're not just believing your story anymore. There's this other thing kicking around in there with the story. That's the frustrating thing. The stories are still there, the feelings are still there, but now you've got this whole other thing, ingredient in there, which is a context to wrap it up in that allows it to resolve itself. Now, you can't control the time. You don't need to control any of it. You've just got to keep letting the feeling be there, letting the story around it be there. Even though it's the same story. The loop is a spiral. When you know this, it's a spiral. It takes you back to that key moment. That's why getting a handle on the technique of these 4 questions and the turnaround is so vital.
Yeah, it's wonderful that you used alcoholism as an example, because after, struggling with or drinking being a challenge, that was gone in an instant. And I didn't ask for it to be gone. It was gone literally in an overnight. And it's been over 3 years. Same with the smoking cigarettes, like gone in an instant. But it's kind of like Katie's go all in, it's all or nothing. And so that's what happened with family and friends as well. Not to make them insignificant or diminish the importance or the love of our relationships, but as much as I was done with alcohol in an overnight, I was done with people in an overnight. That was instant. I had no control over that. So I think, I don't know, I think I'm impatient. I think so much of this is impatience. I've seen what happened. I've seen what God did with the alcohol. I've seen what God did with the toxic relationships and behaviors. I've seen what God did with the smoking, and I'm just like, okay, take this away, take this grief away right now, right? Like, if that was overnight, why can't this be overnight,
Yeah, right. Yeah,
right?
yeah, that's it. Yeah, I mean that's the pivot point in a sense where it's just you hit the wall. Oh my God, there's a problem. I can't keep doing this. That's a poof, a
It's,
realization.
it's the, it's
But
the, it's the doing all this work. It's the seeing all the layers, all the levels, all the peeling back of the onion. It's doing it and making headway and then waking up wanting to be dead again every morning. It's fucking exhausting.
it's
And then
relentless.
having to have all these practices of prayer and gratitude every morning. It's just, God help me. Like,
And you
this is
know what?
bigger than me. This is beyond me. This is bigger than me. This has nothing to do with me. Be in service. God, show me how to be in service to everybody. Show me. Let me be more patient. Let me be more loving.
And then
I
what
beg
happens?
every morning. I don't know. I get up and I just keep going.
Well, then what happens is precisely what you asked for. Let me be free of impatience. Let me be free of dot, dot, dot. What happens is what's in the way of your freedom is brought to you. The thing is, though, we have an idea, just like we have an idea, everything's based on this false assumption. The ego that controls, which is the only thing we've ever known. So we have an idea of what it should look like. It's even though we know better, we also have this reflex to let's say put a box around it, and then what comes to us, which is the help, which is exactly what we've asked for, doesn't fit in the box. Now
Yeah.
that's the problem. The box is the problem, and the fact that this golden thread of experiences comes to us to undo the box means it's got to bring up the box. The very problem you're up against, the fact that you're being brought through process, you're in a situation where you're being forced to put your attention between at that point of conflict between what is and what you want. Because so much of the time, what we want, that's why Ramana kept saying, find the one who cares. So much of what we want that's in conflict with what is coming from a point of view that cares about an outcome. But
Yeah.
the outcome is about managing the feeling of being insecure.
Right.
So the value of the
Maddening.
outcome, it's maddening because we can't see who we're coming from. We can't
Uh-uh.
see the ego controls. We can't see our own point of view from the point of view we're looking at everything from. That's why it's so important to add a fifth element, the fifth dimension, spirituality. The full 5D is the same thing as an avatar. So you in 5D is the same thing as the Nazarene. So that when he says add a fifth element, he's saying bring in the point of view of the Nazarene. What do you think the Nazarene? How do you think the Nazarene would go through what you're experiencing, meet what you're experiencing? Imagine his attitude towards his point of view towards everything that you're experiencing. That's what you're doing by bringing an objectivity. Now, of course, we can't fill in those answers necessarily. We just know that his whole approach to life is diametrically opposed to ours in some way. And when you're that what you do is you're allowing by challenging the story, basically you know that something in your whole perspective is creating a problem. You just can't see what you're doing and how you're doing it and how to fix it, and it's maddening. But you bring in this objectivity through asking the question, "What's the real truth?" and questioning. The definitions are the solution. They're the doorway. Your own judgments of the situation are the doorway, including yourself. And there's so many ways to turn around the judgment. Turn it back on yourself. Turn it back on the other or the situation. There's different ways to play around with it depending on the situation you're in. And it's getting a handle on that makes such a difference because,
Yeah.
like I said, you're becomes your friend. When you really understand how this works, that the help you've been getting is what causes the friction because your point of view is the problem. And our definition that we're going the wrong way and this shouldn't be happening is a part of that point of view. We argue with God basically all the time. When you know that's the case, you stop arguing with the help. And whilst you're still being impacted by the effect that the help is having, because you're still being deprogrammed and reverse engineered, and there's a lot of emotion and feeling and residue that comes out of that. There's a peace with what is that comes over you about it. There's a layer of struggle that just evaporates because you know
I've had glimmers of that. I've had glimmers of that.
Right. Now, one other thing I'll say is the kingpin solution is often something we fight against. So look out for that. For instance, I've said to you, there's something in the way you were conditioned, that you were brought up in, let's say, an autistic view of life. That isn't yours. Yep. You're not of that. In fact, you're the exact antithesis of it.
Right.
Exactly the opposite. But you were forced into a situation where you had to meet and match that dynamic. Lack of connection. And that's what empathy is, what connects every human. So it's natural part of the grief when you turn around and face what is the impact that's had on you means the reality that you've been filling this gap with love to make the connection look like it needs to look, when really it's never really been there in that sense in your family dynamic. You've been compensating for this. So it makes sense that when you stop doing that, you'll feel the reality of what was underneath that, which is a lack of connection to everybody.
Like a tidal wave. When I took my energy away from everyone, it was abundantly clear that it was my energy that was maintaining any of it. So all of it was false. So everything evaporated. Everything combusted. Yeah.
You stopped arguing with what is, but it's like you say, it's a layer cake. So then you get hit with the cold, hard, disconnected world view of people on the spectrum who are very, by definition, very, narcissistic. Not in a kind of psychopath.
Not in that, yes.
No,
not in that malevolent way. Yeah,
they're the center of everything. Their point of view is the center of everything, and any conflict is about other things being the problem. It's never the capacity for self-review is almost gone, and the capacity for empathy for the impact they have on others is gone. So they can't. They go together. So there's no way to get outside it. It's an impenetrable fortress in a sense.
Right.
And that block
that explains my siblings.
Yeah, all of it. Yeah. But there's a layer underneath that. It's not the truth of who they are either, and the truth of who they are is untouched by any of that too. So
I don't say that with any. I don't say that with any blame. I say that with empathy. I say that with understanding.
What is.
I see my siblings clearer than ever before with the work that I've been doing on myself. For certain. I see them clearer than ever.
Now, but there is a lot of you that does blame them, and there is a lot of you in there that is very angry, and there is a lot of you in there that has been really hurt and damaged by it, that needs a voice, that's never been able to speak, there's a spirit, it's a spiral. So those parts of you have to be brought into the field. So that's this dynamic you've been living with. It's all the stuff that you were never able to connect consciously to that was impacted by this reality. And that's part of the arguing with what is.
I wasn't bypassing, I wasn't suppressing my anger and my feeling woundedness by them. I wasn't just saying that. What I was saying is blame. Like, I'm not blaming. We're all, like, I don't blame anybody, actually. Like, I don't blame nobody's to blame. Right, the big picture. Exactly. I see it for what it is. It doesn't
And
diminish how I
no,
feel because of
the
it,
impact of the
right?
there's the 3-year-old Katie, 5-year-old Katie, 7-year-old Katie, 13-year-old Katie, la di da di da, who didn't know that, who had to bend out of shape to match something that the cost to her was everything. Herself. She lost herself to this false paradigm. And that's what everyone's going to. So there's a lot of grief involved and a lot of pain and anger. But again, when you got the big picture context, this is what spirituality, people in spiritual circles miss all the time. If you try to suppress that voice, you're just keeping it there. You can't
Oh,
spiritualize those parts of you were invited into that field of truth by the fact that you allow room for it to exist, that there is a way to resolve this. So on one level, this adult Katie right now is being the mother that your mother couldn't be to all those children by allowing them in, by letting them be who they were, by having empathy for it and seeing through them and holding them through a process to come back to themselves and heal, which is what you were never allowed to do at the time. If the Katie that wanted just to be recognised at 13, a critical age, 9, a critical age, you have a need to be met in a particular way and you get the exact opposite, then that has to be resolved. So you're being the parent to the child that you are that resolves that. So it's growing up. You're allowed to grow up intact the way you should have been allowed to had you been held properly, which you weren't. So that
yeah.
imbalance, you're taking responsibility for it because you believed it was true of you. The only one who can see through that lie is you and have a direct experience in the living moment that it's the truth. So you've got the context to do that with. Now it's just a matter of letting life, time, God bring you into all of the moments that bring the parts of you stuck in the past. That's why it looks like we're moving forward in time. And that's true. These experiences and coincidences and people, etc., are all coming to us in this moment from somewhere they were. So there's a perspective of moving through time forwards. But we're also being reverse engineered. So we're moving back in time too.
Yep.
And your ability to see through, allowing the grief to be there the way it is right now is a big part of that. Now, again, there's a kingpin that'll go to the heart of the matter. And this is something to get a handle on. When we first connected, I could have said to you, this is what you need to do to go to the kingpin. But the investment in the strategy to control this grief is also still there. And the willingness to go all the way means you've got to let go of a lot. It can be too much. There's a lot of shame caught up in there. It's like using the Byron Katie method, and she makes this comment. We're tempted to go straight to the turnaround, and if you do that, you'll go straight to blame, shame, guilt, anger. But if you go through the 4 questions to get there, it's a whole. You diffuse a lot of that by going through the right stages to get to the moment where you can actually take it in. So, for instance, getting on a plane and flying to Australia and standing in a room full of people, choosing one to play mum, one to play sister, one to play dad, one to play you, putting them in an order that just, without thinking too much about it, how would you place them in a way that matches your internal picture of your family right now? Maybe mum and dad have their back to each other. Maybe they're really close, whatever looks right. And then you step out and the field opens up. The spirit of the problem can now speak to you. That's what the Zulu created. That's why Hellinger came up with it. Your willingness to go all the way to the core of the problem is directly proportionate to how big the field opens up. And wham, the facilitator will walk up to mum, what's happening for you right now? I've got a lot of pain in my back. Dad, what's happening for you right now? They'll start channeling, even if they've never done it before. And then the facilitator will start moving them around. Mum and dad have their back to each other. Okay, mum and dad face each other. Now, Dad, tell me what's happening for you. Oh my God. And this whole thing starts to play out in front of you. And the one who plays you is being moved around within it until it gets to a point where the field is at its conclusion. The resolution that you can get to at that time that matches where you're at has played out. And you've watched this play out the whole time, and it's spoken to you in a language you've never really seen before. So your point of view has been taken through a process like, wow, you've seen a dimension to it that you didn't even know was there. But your heart's going ding, 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 ding. Your head's going, what the fuck? And then the person playing you, facilitator, sit down, and then you go and stand in that field and you feel it all. And then when you go home, you watch reality around you conform to that. Because you're a system, you're in a system. You've brought the full awareness of what no one would go there. Your mum wouldn't go there. Your sister wouldn't go there. Their whole life was about managing this problem and getting it out of their field and their awareness. And the distortion, the sins of the father visit us. The victim is the perpetrator. The pain and suffering that causes. They just become the one that caused the pain to them in a big way, and it gets worse over time. Now you've brought the resolution into the field. They have to meet it. It's in the field. Now, when I told you that the first time, no. Now that was important. You can't judge yourself for it. You had to go through stages, whereas what you said to me a few days ago. Now, because you've met this blackness without knowing anything was happening, and that triggered a whole other set of judgments. But you've always had this context. None of it's real. So what's been happening under the surface? Your subconscious resistance to the solution, which the ego that controls doesn't want to give up power. It'll do anything to stay in control. It'll convince you that the solution is the problem in every way possible. It's a cunning bastard. Right,
Fucker.
But what's happening is it's being undermined by that question: what's the truth? The subconscious foundation of your paradigm, your belief system, which is the ego that controls, has been rearranged without its power to change until you're at a point where it's cornered, and that's where you're at now. So your capacity to go to this kingpin and pull it out. So your resistance to doing that. Travel, the definition you've had of the problem with travel is an excuse that gets you out of going to what threatens the ego that controls. Now you meet the feeling of getting on that plane and the story, oh my God, everyone's assholes, the government, the blah, 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 whatever it is, and you apply the Byron Katie method to it. And you get on that plane and everything that plays out until you get into that constellation workshop in October, let's say, is about the very thing you've been asking for, but it looks like the opposite. You see, and you can connect to what I just said in a way you couldn't have 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're the problem and we're the solution.
Yeah. Yeah.
Use every experience that tells you the opposite and turn it around. And look, I know what I'm talking about because I'm living it too. Believe me.
I know.
I got my own version of all of this. I'm at peace with the process though.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it doesn't have impact. Yeah, you know
Sure.
what I go through, I'm connected to myself in its complete opposite in a way that I can't escape, that I have to actually meet the opposing point of view in my life. The masculine in me has to balance with the feminine in me through, and you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's
Sure do.
the gift of twin flame relationships.
The gift that keeps on giving.
Oh, yeah. But again, being at peace with what is. It's by definition that it's a problem that's the problem, not the catalyst. Anyway, that was a lot. And Your vulnerability at the start, it just invites the field to go deep. And it's that point in history. We can't get on a YouTube show and just keep it at all at surface level anymore. That time's past. We're all going through the most intense period in human history, and it's getting real, and it's going to get more and more real.
Yeah.
So let's get real. Let's talk about it honestly, openly.
There's no other way to be. What is
Exactly.
the fucking point?
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, now
So-
all these topics I wrote to you about talking about seem silly. Somebody in the chat, help me.
Yeah, maybe we hand it over. I mean, maybe that just had an impact on people. Let's find out.
No, everybody's just been absolutely loving. Really, really lovely in the chats. I don't know. What's everybody want to talk about? Somebody help me. Yeah, like Eve, very intense month for sure. Teresa says, keeping it real. Ascending angels, don't be too hard on yourself. And Victoria says, the power of love knocks our socks off. Yeah, like only love is real. I mean, Lisa B says, I believe just showing up here with Gareth is being of service.
Huh.
Yeah.
Oh, well, the feeling's mutual.
Yeah. Everyone's just really lovely. Oh, everyone loves to watch Katie cry.
I know. We've been feeling everything everywhere all at once, and that's hard. Totally. But it's
when you were kind of describing the sessions of the family constellation sessions, which I've seen some. I've looked at Jill Peirce's stuff. She's Rupert Sheldrake's wife, and she's currently the mother of Bert Hellinger's work. And she does this stuff remotely and stuff. And then of course, there's that Turkish program called Another Self, which is a horrible soap opera-esque show, but the sessions of Family Systems Constellation are fantastic. But as soon as you were describing those sessions and people who have never met me or my family playing the parts of everyone, I was just like overwhelmed with, yeah, please, can somebody else do all that for me, please? Right? Like, I just don't want to do it.
That's your heart talking.
What? Well,
yeah, that's your heart talking.
It is the heart talking, and there's been a big thing of like, I'm always talking about wanting to be held, going into the fetal position, right? Starting over like I'm a baby. And it's kind of along the lines of everybody kind of interprets that as me wanting to be remothered, right? Like nurtured, like loved so deeply, which basically all of us want, right?
That's what we lack. To some degree,
so
yeah.
Here come some questions. Ascending angels think her comments are being deleted, but I don't think they're being deleted. I see them. How can we find purpose as someone who's awakening without letting what's going on in the world affect us? Yeah, it's a tough one.
How can we find purpose with someone who's awakening without letting what's going on in the world affect us? Well, you can't. It's not. It's about in fact, really, what's happening in the world affecting us is where the solution lies. Simply because the reason it affects us is our point of view, not the thing itself. So we can't do anything about the world out there, but what we can do is what we can change is our point of view, our perspective. Now, when you don't understand there's a truth to who you are and a truth to where you are and what's really the big picture context, that's where people get stuck. That's what some people call spirituality, where you love and light it away. That doesn't actually work. What you've got to do is allow the feeling that it's affecting you to be there and allow room for the truth to be something. But the truth isn't what it looks. It's not what it seems. And also that the impact on you is coming from your misjudgment. That your perspective is coming from a flawed assumption about yourself and reality. When you allow room for that, oh, okay, the reason when you argue with what is you suffer, the reason I'm suffering isn't because of the state of the world, it's because of my belief about the world. Somewhere there's ideas and assumptions that aren't real and aren't true that connect me with this false suffering. When you allow room for that to be there, and this is the whole reason satsang is true north. That's the whole reason God described the problem we're being moved from as the inversion. He said, we are reversing the inversion with you. Well, that implies that there's something that's been inverted. That's why he said the problem is the ego that controls. That's what causes the inversion, our own ego point of view, is the cause of the problem. And what's been inverted is the absolute reality, the truth of who we are and where we are, which has nothing to do with what we perceive as the problem out there. Our belief that there's a problem out there comes from our belief that there's a problem in here, and that's not true. So everything is colored by that. When you know that, that's why I say your enemy becomes your friend. You're waking up to the fact that these catalysts from out there that bring this suffering, they're the gift that frees you from the suffering because they're based on an assumption that's not true. The only way you're going to know that is to be put into the feeling repeatedly and made to bring in that question here. Well, what's the real truth? Knowing that you're not seeing it clearly. The only way to get to seeing it clearly is to be in the situation long enough that you see through it.
Yeah.
That just the fact that you've got that question completely changes your relationship to the flow of life. You're not just staying stuck in the story and repeating it, the suffering over and over and over again. You're questioning the story. Now you're moving through a spiral. You're getting deeper and deeper and deeper into the reality. Now, for a long time, that spiral is just all about the suffering, and you're just allowing room that Ramana Maharshi knows what he's talking about, that the Nazarene knows what he's talking about, that God knows what he's talking about, and maybe I don't. You can't connect to the reality of that yet. However, you hit the wall. That's why you've woken up. What is waking up is hitting the wall, is realizing, oh my God, there's a big problem. I've got a big problem and I've got no idea what it is, let alone what to do about it. And then this stuff comes into your awareness and it seems to make sense. So you go with it. You keep going with it. And until you actually directly experience, oh my God, it's true.
Right.
I'm the one creating it. And that's great news. That's great news. If it's true that
because you have the power, right? Yeah, Nathan says exactly, Gareth. It's still on us, our perspective that's affecting it, nothing else.
Yes. Now you'll see one part of this problem is that we blame ourselves. That layer of all of this feeds to the problem that we aren't worthy as lovers we are, and that needs to be allowed to be there as too. And that's what you've been going through a lot. Self-judgment, that you should know better, and yet here you are feeling it again. So a big part of it is releasing ourselves from blame and judgment, which we just project on people out there. We blame them and judge them. So that's, again, the importance of the turnaround in the Byron Katie method. Point it back to our own self-judgment. If it's not true of them, it's not true of you either. You're innocent just as much as they are. But the only way you're going to connect with that have a direct experience of the reality of that, is to be willing to be put into a situation that triggers the feeling and question it. Realizing the story is what generates the feeling. It's a thought masquerading as a feeling. It's not reality. We're always perfectly, the absolute reality of the truth of who we are is why Ramana said the truth of who we are is untouched by any of it. We need to have a direct experience that that's true, not just a mental construct that we overlay on the feeling to push it away again. We need to have a direct experience that is true through the lie by questioning, seeing it as a lie, our belief system. And there are some sacred cows in there we don't want to let go of. And the ego that controls will fight back at key points of because ego death, a lot of grief involved, a lot of insecurity is triggered by it. Because if this isn't true, what is? And there's a big gap there. And then that's where fear lives. That's where fear and self-doubt live, in the gap of not knowing. And we want to manage it, which is the role of these beliefs. So yeah, you're waking up, there's a truth to all of this, and how do I deal with going through that process without being affected by the world out there, is to allow the effect the world out there is having on you as being the process of coming back to the truth of who you are. It's not, it is the process.
So trippy. It's so trippy.
But now you've got a way of meeting it that works.
Like, I just think about God. I just think about Tom, like, things with us are simple. Like, yeah, I know. But
Give your
the
free
way
will
it's
back to
been
God.
inverted is absolutely not simple.
That's the
It's
complexity. It comes from
yeah.
yeah. But when you realize, okay, what I think about everything, I can't count on it being true at all in any way. So how about I just give my free will back to God, that's a thing that you can do. It makes sense. Nothing can exist without a point of origin. And here we are, and here's the
Yep.
universe. And consciousness, here it is. We are conscious. Consciousness has to have a point of origin.
Yep. Yep. All right, let's talk about dinosaurs.
Natural segue. I mean, yeah.
I know. I mean, why wouldn't that feed right into dinosaurs?
Dinosaurs. Well, it kind of does in a way, actually, funnily enough.
I mean, everything's connected. I just know that, yeah. I don't know if I want to talk about dinosaurs because I don't know if I want to hear your perspective on it. I think it's a load of shit. I don't trust anything we've been told. Our history is such a big, fat piece of lying shit. It's not even funny.
Yes, but you know where they throw the lies is where the truth, there's truth there that I want us to connect to.
Well, maybe dinosaurs were dragons because everyone seems to think dragons are coming back. I don't think dinosaurs are what we've been taught. But then you talked about the asteroid that wiped them out. What was the truth around that?
Again, there's the big picture context of why the human race was created as a trap for those of the interference, and what those of the interference are, how they operate, and what they've been doing in this galaxy and throughout the universe is very old. And like I said, the Orion Wars, the point of origin of this conflict, is somewhere between 2 and 4 billion years ago. And the Earth's 6 billion years old, roughly? And what's their goal? To create a vehicle. They use technology and their strategy to create super soldiers. And think of the Empire in Star Wars, an overwhelming force to achieve their goal. So something they can bring in that will assist them in some way with their goal, which is to take over a civilization that has enough civilizations to give them enough conscious creative energy to feed the emperor, to make the emperor real in Star Wars, to make the one that fell real, give it physical form, darkness into a thing, because darkness isn't like the night. What creates nighttime? We call it the night, but what is it really? It's an absence of daylight. It's an absence of sunlight. It isn't this thing that comes in and takes over from light. There is no dark. There's only light and an absence of light. Just that's the illusion of separation. So what they've all been trying, the whole purpose is to get a light space vehicle that can create darkness and turn it into a thing. So that's why they worship death. It's an end times death cult. Satanism is an end times death cult, and the worshipping is the energy being funneled into a single point of focus to give this one that fell form that equals and opposes the Nazarene, which is the sacred masculine, the thought I. So it's the ego that controls. That's why evil, the word evil, is an opposite of the word live. That's why they call it reversing the inversion. We're facing the wrong direction. And that's all engineered to steer us into creating this reality. Well, the dinosaur era was part of a process, and it was part of the long-term strategy of the planet Earth, why it was created the way it was, and how human. Remember, God, all it is, you can't out-strategize God, and the God's perspective of all the timelines is complete and total. Way more aware than the one that fell. Like everything is within God's perspective. Nothing can be outside that perspective. So the whole history of the planet is related to what's happening now, including the era of the dinosaurs. So what happened, there were several epochs that they went through, these mass extinction events, so-called, is just really life breathing in and out. So the ecosystem became more and more complex and diverse and moving in a certain direction. And that was all created to develop a timeline. One part of the trap was dinosaurs. Think of a T-Rex. I mean, what? I can't remember how many tons now. A lot. Like the size of a school bus. Massive. Huge. And think of the damage a T-Rex could do if you let one loose in the city, in any city right now. Yeah, tiny little hands, but very big head. Yeah, I mean, one T-Rex would be a big problem. They were massive, but what started to happen, in the Cretaceous period, was this diversity, a certain stream of dinosaurs became very highly intelligent to the point where they were on the verge of self-awareness, and they were being steered that way by the Draco reptilians, by part of the interference, because they were trying to create a super soldier that they could integrate with technology. Think of the Borg drone, the ultimate Borg drone, that would be part of an army, a force that they could bring in, and that strategy wasn't allowed to exist. So just like the Atlantean destruction event, same thing. The asteroid was deliberately placed. The asteroid on its own wouldn't have wiped out the dinosaurs, but because it was timed perfectly, because there was a natural process going on, like these extinction events, what would have happened had this process been allowed to go through that, the next layer of complexity of the ecosystem, the dinosaurs would have survived that process. So this light space vehicle dinosaur that they were trying to, it's along the lines of a velociraptor. If that had been allowed to go through that process, they would have achieved their goal. And so the asteroid was timed perfectly with these. There were things going on with the atmosphere, things going on with the Earth geologically, with volcanism, that were causing a sort of shrinking of the ecosystem. And this thing was the last straw. It was the straw that broke the camel's back. It was the asteroid, which means the dinosaurs were wiped out. They couldn't make the next leap. But what did? Mammals. Mammals were all tiny little things in the shadow. and that's where the light space vehicle that became the human race was the seeding of the planet. That was this whole seeding of the planet Earth that Tom spoke about. That was overseen by the Nazarene. This whole process was overseen by the Nazarene. So the light space vehicle that allowed the grand experiment of all the genetic material from multiple star systems to be brought into planet Earth was the beginning phase of that. So that was when these elements could start to be brought in, leading to the ability to create the human race. And that was a counter move to what those of the interference were trying to do. Now that formed part of the trap that drew them in, because of course God did smite the dragon was the way it was put. The Draco Reptilian are a big part of this dark element that's here. They were very, let's say, angry about it, and that's a powerful motivation. So by creating Atlantis, it symbolized, you could say, God winning the ultimate conclusion of wiping out their version of what they wanted to create and replacing it with God's version with Atlantis. So what they've done is infiltrate Atlantis. That was all. It was all a trap. Come in, use that anger. Everything that's being used against you will be turned back to the user. They're all their strategies, reactionaryism, being what's the word, lured, desire, through the sexual amplification of being this physical, etc. All these strategies were put in place in Atlantis. So what they wanted to do was the opposite of what God did by inverting civilization, which is why Australia is being used right now as the symbolic completion of the plan, an island continent taken over by the last fourth beast rising from the sea, corporations not admiralty law, headed up by China running BlackRock, the two corporations that own everything, coming into Australia, buying everything up and taking over Australia, symbolises the final point of their plan. So these events, the asteroid wipeout, the Atlantean civilization being created and then destroyed, through them infiltrating it to get revenge for that, and there's all sorts of motives tied up in that. There's lots of groups within those of the interference that all have their own agendas and their own alliance centered around the one that fell's agenda. So they all kind of work together to kind of give each other what they want. They'll turn against each other in a heartbeat too, if that's it. Yeah, it's because it's an opposite of love, empathy.
Yeah.
So that all of their agendas were all tied up in this process, which is why what's happening on this planet, us waking up to reality, is so powerful. But we were designed from the start
to do this. Yeah. Like there's all sorts of things are going viral right now out there in the world. And I think it's just all to just kind of shock us into disbelief of everything and coming home to trusting your intuition and kind of coming full circle to not trusting those we've given our power over to all these years. One of the big viral things was, I think it's Selena Gomez on some red carpet somewhere, twisted her arm or her ankle, her leg in such an unnatural way. You've seen that, right? Okay, wait. But that's one of the things viral right now. Another thing is the man who says he was kidnapped by dolphins to build structures underwater, and the leader of the dolphins was Gerald, and he was all buff and ripped like he lifted weights. Okay, so then Solar Glow Meditations, Megan, she's a big channel on YouTube and Instagram, did a dowsing, and the dowsing said, yes, it's true. The dolphins did take this man to build underwater structures for them. There's something to it. I don't know what it is. It sounds insane, impossible, but at the same time, absolutely nothing sounds insane or impossible to me anymore. So,
Look,
but you nodded right away when I talked about the Selena Gomez ankle thing, because there's all sorts of stuff going around about Justin Bieber and Selena Gomez and their baby. Like, instead of sacrificing their baby, she sacrificed herself. Like, now there's this red carpet moment. Like what is even happening
yeah,
right now?
exactly. Yeah.
What do you
I
have to
mean,
say about all that stuff?
well, bring us to one thing is to bring us to saturation point, so we just switch off from all of it. That's one strategy, and that's a mental thing. What they, you get mentally exhausted, and so you just switch off from all of it. So you stop going anywhere. You don't go there anymore. Um, but what also is happening is that people they still know something's going on, so they come back. You know what? I'm going to stop just surfing it all, and I'm just going to pull back and just stay with me in my heart. But the question, what's the truth, is still there. Once you hit the wall to that
Still
degree and
there
you're in this
and
transition,
louder.
you're still bringing in the truth. And that's something they can't stamp out. They're trying to stamp it out with strategies like that. It's one reason they do this. As far as the dolphin called Gerald who lifts weights and they kidnap someone to build structures, um, and look, don't forget that it's a massive psy-op. So the person saying that and the person doing the dowsing could be part of the psy-op. So just the fact that that was agreed upon, the octopi that binds is based on agents. They put agents in, undercover agents throughout all sorts of systems to do what they are. They're within the immigration wave that's been happening globally, but they're also in everything. So they're also in this truther movement, and they can be people that you thought were like 107.
Oh yeah.
There's a bit of stuff going
Did
on
you
with
watch
him.
that?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, and there's all sorts of stuff coming out, and again, it brings up a lot of confusion. But one thing I do know about dolphins is they were souls that were present at the time of Atlantis, and they were brought in.
Yes.
They were brought into the form of dolphins, so they wouldn't get caught up in the sexual dynamic within the human form, because that was the problem in Atlantis.
That was the
But
problem, right?
their consciousness and the frequency they hold, it was a very big asset. There was a
Mhm.
big purpose for it.
Mhm.
Humpback humpback whales are also in that category.
Mhm.
Not all whales, but
Yep.
humpback whales are. So they're those who nurse
Yeah.
their young. So there's a purpose for them being here that's more about holding the reality of what Atlantis really is in a frequency form that helps the human race come back to the truth of who we
Yeah.
are. So
Yeah.
they wouldn't need to do that. What I understand about them makes that irrelevant. Like what my understanding of what dolphins are and why they're here. They don't need anything like that. That's not their purpose. So what would they need to kidnap someone to build structures for? What was the goal for that?
Sure.
Why,
Sure.
why
Sure. Well, Teresa
I could
says
meet up with one of
I
them.
get.
Let's just say
Yeah, well, Teresa says I get messages from dolphins at times, and there's so much more than we can imagine for sure. And that's why I'm not discounting that experience or that it's a psyop at all. I'm not saying I believe it. I'm not saying I disbelieve it. I'm saying,
that.
whatever. It's
Yeah.
entertainment right now. But
Couldn't
then,
have come
but
up with
then
a better name than Gerald.
Todd's chiming in. I know, it's so funny. But then it brings
Gerald,
in
like,
that whole animated show on Netflix, The Inside Job, which has the like kind of dolphinish man, military man. Like The Inside Job is so full of so many like metaphysical and psyop fuckery. Like that whole
don't
show.
forget.
If you haven't watched Inside Job, give it a shot. But
I'll check
it's
it out.
Todd just says Netflix is a psyop, and he's right. Like Netflix, I've said this before. I can open various streaming services. I can feel immediately the darkness that comes from Netflix. Netflix is dark and nasty shit. But Todd also said, abso-fucking-lutely psyops. He says, ultimately, the psyops is backfiring just like COVID, and it brings us back to ourselves, which is what they don't want. So it's all, and that's what I say when people send all these things to me and ask my opinion of them. I'm like, just go within. Like, every single thing, even down to you asking me about this, or you seeing that reel, or you watching that program, every single thing is so divinely curated. We cannot wrap our human minds around that. That's all I say.
Effectively,
That's all. That's
they're
my answer to
describing
all of it.
themselves.
Even my own bullshit. What?
They're describing themselves to us. When you look at it that way, they're describing their strategy to us. They're showing us their strategy. The fact that we know Netflix is a psyop means, okay, well, what are they trying to tell us? Like, how are they using this psyop to control the way we think? There's this objectivity where you're looking at the show and you're going, oh, that's so programmed. Now, it's not touching you because you're aware that it's programming, but it's also describing itself. So you start to see why they're manipulating us in particular ways. What's the outcome they're trying to get? Like, how it all
Exactly.
Now, just I'll talk amongst yourselves. I'll be right back.
Oh, again. All right. Well, Teresa, I wanted to say I see your comment that it may be prepping the collective, right? And Karen, you heard that the man who went with the Dolphins worked for NASA, which instantly rings a bell, right? And I was just talking, who was I talking with about NASA? I think it was my friend Jamie. It was my friend Jamie. And we were both saying, like, as soon as I hear NASA, I just shut it down. Like, no, thank you. That's ridiculous. It's why I can't, like, Bruce Lipton and Greg Braden played a part in my awakening early on. But Bruce Lipton still talks about we need 1.6 Earths to sustain all of us. And I'm just like, bullshit. What kind of fear mongering is that? And every other, paragraph coming out of Greg Braden is referencing NASA, as if NASA gives validity to what he's saying. I'm sorry, no. So one of my favorite recent videos that I watched was the Y Files. Lindsay brought that to me. It was the Y Files in the basement with Chris Bledsoe, who, if anybody knows Chris Bledsoe, he had an experience in 2007, and they also reference NASA taking Chris's experience so seriously that they've been studying it for 19 years. And I'm just like, don't bring NASA into this. Ew. Like that. I love Chris Bledsoe. I could listen to him. I've fallen asleep to that video because I just love the lull of his voice and his reverence and for ETs and his faith and love of God. Like, I love Chris Bledsoe. But you bring NASA into it, and that, what is it? What's the other ones? It's a UFO organization. And I'm just like, anything you bring in that the government has designated to look at something, I don't want to hear their thoughts. I want to hear the person on the ground. I want to hear us and you. That's it. So, you, Gareth, get a catheter for crying out loud. You can't be leaving me like that. I can't stand that.
I'll just have a trolley with a bag next to it.
Exactly. Hello. Exactly. That was like my favorite part of being in a hospital. Like, oh, I don't have to get up to go to the bathroom. This is great. This is great. So no, I was just, I just went off on my own little thing, but
Good.
So Zach144 says, Gareth, I'm speaking in light languages and I don't understand the languages, but I constantly say the words Naga and dragon. Have you any idea what that could mean? Naga, Naga. and dragon. Light language always is kind of over my head as well. I have a couple of friends who speak light language, and I've had someone speak light language over me. And then my Reiki practitioner, light language just came online for her this year, but it's nothing that I really understand.
Yeah, look, I don't specifically know what Naga means. It does ring a bell, though. Why does it ring a bell? Naga. Maybe it'll come to me, but and dragon in light language, there's something about dragon and the way light, the connection between dragons and reality is the image I'm shown is the way light projects, the way the universe is created is a holographic projection. So the way light moves, you could say in lines, in trajectories. The colours are spectrum, like your glasses. The white light turns into coloured light, but that white light in a line, like the reason Tom calls God T, Tom, that upright being white light, and then the dimensions all created through coloured light. And the Aboriginals talk about this too. It's in the dreaming stories that these lines, these sort of lines of light, that have a way of creating reality. So there's something to do with. There could be a lot more to it than that.
Todd actually said Naga, a member of a semi-divine race, part human, part cobra in form, associated with water and sometimes with mystical initiation.
I was just going to say that Naga, I just asked about it. It connects with, there's a connection with the Amachi is part of it, the Indian lineage of Hinduism. So yeah. I mean, again, this connection with the serpent and the cobra, Naga, and wisdom, the wisdom of God, and the intention of God being given physical form. And there's probably a lot more to that. You could go a lot more into it. But funnily enough, the first thing Tom did when I spoke to him was light language. When I was in the room, the first thing that God did was speak in this light language, which was really something. I've heard light language coming from ETs, and it was kind of the same thing, but way bigger, way more powerful, and more direct. It was, you could tell somehow that it was more close to the core than. It's like the ET version is one step removed. And this was like something, the energy of it was really something else. And the person sitting next to me, we just turned and faced each other like, whoa, the energy
What
in the
just
room.
happened?
Really,
Yeah. No, a lot of people have things to say, like Flicks Love. Hi, Flicks Love says Naga, water snake, sort of. And then Todd again says Indian related and rooted. And Ever Altair says dragons for me is prana, child, ki, or kundalini. And then and then Nathan is going back to when I had to hold my own. I was discussing Greg Braden and Bruce Lipton, and Nathan says, fully agree, Katie. I love Greg Braden and just finished reading the second book of his, but what I've seen is that he references corrupt organizations like NASA and others to help back up his information. And I'm like, what? Tells me he's not fully awake. And that's the way I feel. Like, I feel sorry to go off of the Naga, but I just wanted to reference Nathan because Nathan, I think, is from maybe Facebook because his comment isn't in the YouTube, so I wouldn't be able to respond to him. So I had to do it here. But I think there is a place and a time for a lot of Bruce and Greg's teachings and understandings and like the God of being in our DNA and there's just they can have some lovely information, but the need to play along with the games of climate and the games of space exploration and the games of NASA, it's just like, I'm so over it. Like, I just, no.
Yeah.
Hard no. Hard no.
Yeah.
Hard no.
There's something going on in the background that a lot of people don't know about, between the military, the white hat side of, there's the octopi that binds system, which is related to corporations. Then there's the common law, government, military, etc., that's actually based on federation. The one we think the general public thinks we're living in there is a reality to that. Now, what happened in 47 and ever since then is an integration process going on between the Galactic Federation and the human race, because we're going to be brought into being an interstellar race and connected to the Galactic Federation. So there's a let's call it a school, an education process has been put together for a whole lot of people within, particularly the X-Gens, children's generation, but everywhere. Think of it as Starfleet Academy. Star Trek was given to Roddenberry by God, by Tom. You go to become, someone who can be on a starship and gee, we just froze on that.
Yeah, we froze big time on that one, didn't we?
Interesting.
I wonder if we froze for. Yeah, you were talking about Starfleet and Roddenberry, and I was in my head going, I want to go to Starfleet.
Did you stop hearing me talk, or did it just the visual freeze?
I did, but it's not 100% that everybody else did. Everybody else might have been able to hear you. Sometimes you and I look pixelated, but I've rewatched the shows and we look fine. So I don't know.
So can someone in the comments just say
everything? No, they didn't hear you. Everything froze.
Great. Okay. Well, there's a reason. So, since 47, when Roswell happened, basically what happened in 47 was the Galactic Federation showed up and it was time for the human race to integrate. And, of course, those of the interference had a problem with that. So a deal was made and a timeline was given. And that was all known ahead of time. It was all part of the plan. So the deep state have been throwing everything they can at the human race to make that as tough as possible or impossible, while they try to figure out a way to carry out their plan. Because if we choose their plan by free will, the Galactic Federation can't do that. So that's what they've been trying to pull off with COVID, etc. Now that hasn't happened, and really all that's happened is that they've played right into the hands of the trap and showed themselves completely. So the Federation's been waiting in the background. Now the white hat side of the military and the government, the Federation, which is still there, the fourth beast rising from the sea, the corporate side of government and the corporate system that everybody thinks is the federal system, they don't realise that there's two governments, two layers of government, the real one and this false one that has no legal basis. Well, the real one's been going through an integration process because the human race will be brought into being an interstellar civilization and connected to the Galactic Federation. That's what's playing out. And so that process of integration has been going on behind the scenes whilst this other stuff's been playing out. So the equivalent of Starfleet Academy has been put together. So there are a lot of people who have been born into the generation of kids in the Gen X's children who were born into soul groups that are meant to be brought into that. So at a certain point in the open contact, there's a secret stage to that the general public won't know about, that a lot of people in these soul groups will be brought into that. So that'll be the start of this process of it becoming general public. So there's an open contact process that will play out with some civilizations, but behind the scenes, a lot of people from the human race will be brought into this academy and then trained up, going through healing tech first, certain upgrades to make their DNA fully active, and then trained into it, brought up to speed, basically, so that when open contact happens fully, that integration process is all ready to go. So the whole thing with NASA, what that's all about, SpaceX, blah, blah, all the bullshit they're trying to pull off about us going into space. That's all. It's the same thing as the financial system. It's the central banking system. The systems have already been put in place to replace them. So they'll all be brought down with the control narrative and the fourth beast. The whole system is one thing. And so, yeah, this Starfleet Academy equivalent is already there in the background. We've been shown that. And that secret stage, that'll be, once people get brought into that, it's like a funnel. They'll disappear for a while. And then the collapse of the narrative will happen around that. Some people who have been participating in this collapse process will be brought into that Starfleet stage, the secret stage. Others the rest of the human race will go through this process, and then they'll meet.
Okay, I'm watching everybody say, "Oh, they froze again. It's buffering again. Oh, they froze again." And then Lisa B says, "Maybe talk about dinosaurs so you don't freeze." They don't give a shit if we debunk dinosaurs. There's no way, right? But you talk about the false government and the real government, or the false finance and the real finance, and everything crashes. Can't be talking about that shit.
And the human race being brought into being interstellar and integrated with the Galactic Federation, and that they've already put in place the system to do that. I'll just keep saying it until they can't buffer it.
Yeah. Mike also brings up, in Star Trek The Voyage Home, they went back in time to bring back humpback whales to save the world. I remember that, Mike. I think that was I have a humpback whale tattoo on my shoulder since I was, 23 or 24. It was my first tattoo ever. And then when I had my son, I had a baby, no accident. And then when I had my son, I had them refresh the humpback whale and put a humpback whale calf right next to it. It's really beautiful. But I remember loving that. Yeah, it's a beautiful tattoo. It has my son Liam's name on it. Huh?
The
I don't know if I could show it here. There's a tiny baby there. There's a tiny baby, and then there's my son's name. It's a beautiful tattoo when you can see it correctly, but it's not easy right now. Yeah, there's the Japanese way. It's on Japanese waves. But anyway,
that's
it's like one of the only tattoos of mine that I do not regret. Well, wait, maybe so. If you see the blue, you see the humpback whale on the Japanese style waves. Do you see it?
Oh, I see.
And then the little tiny baby. Yeah, I could probably have it redone, but anyway.
Yeah, no, I saw it. I thought the waves. I thought it was facing the other way in the waves, but the heads. It's sitting on top, and the heads.
Yeah.
Kind of that way. Yeah. Now I got it.
Yeah. I have a lot of tattoos. That's one of the ones that I don't hate.
The female twin flame is the dolphin, and the female twin soul is the humpback whale.
Shut up. You shut up. Oh my God. It's just, wow.
And the mother twin flame is the seal, the code breaker.
Wow. Say that one more time.
The male twin flame is the seal, the code breaker.
Yeah. Nathan says, E.T. Commander Valiant Thor from the Galactic Alliance. He made a deal with President Roosevelt in the day, apparently. There's even been a picture of him in the White House, he hears. Huh.
Ah, okay.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
And Teresa loves whales and dolphins. She misses them since leaving Hawaii. Oh, so everyone likes the tattoo. Thank you very much.
Great. There's no accident. No accident.
There's
I
no
tell you, Katie, when
accident.
you put two and two together, like all the way back, you're going to be just like blown away.
I know that might just require a trip to Australia. I hope my mom's listening so she's not too surprised when I say, Mom, I'm going to Australia. I'll be gone a couple of months.
Oh, she's coming.
She's coming with
There
me?
might be
I gotta take my ma everywhere?
on a separate plane.
I'll hear her laugh in a minute when the video
Yeah.
catches up to real
In a
time.
minute. Come on, Sarah, give us a good one.
She's such a good sport. Being called autistic. I'm being the mother I never had. The poor woman. God, the poor. Oh, there's Nigel. Nigel just got in. Hi, Nigel.
So we love you. Hi, Nigel. Hi, everybody. I'm trying to keep up with everybody. Karen and Mike. Hey, Mike.
I told you to not do that. Stop doing that. It doesn't work.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to do that. So sorry, everyone. I'll stop.
So, does everyone here know that you do sessions too?
I do sessions too.
You're so articulate. You're so articulate, Gareth. That was wonderful.
All on my own. Yes, yeah. I'm working with people, and I've got a few people I'm working with, which has been great. Really good to meet people, and we're all going through this together, which is fantastic. Which is what I love about it. And you can, if you're. I'm actually just in the process of going part-time at work. So in about 2 weeks, I've just handed them the official documents today. And so I think just after Easter, I'll go to 3 days a week instead of full-time work plus this, plus, it's like doing 3 jobs at the moment. It's too much. So then I'll be more open to, I'll have 4 days a week where I can actually, work with people. And that'll, I think.
My mom's downstairs laughing. Sorry to interrupt you, but Mom's downstairs hooting and howling. And in the chat, she even wrote, I am, because I'm sure that was the part where she heard she's going to Australia. Maybe not this time, Mom. I don't know.
Get ready for a road trip, Sarah. And
Roseanne wants the email, Gareth.
Yes, sorry, that's what I'm getting to. So it's Sacred Self at 4pillarscoaching.net, and the 4 is a number 4. I don't know if there's a way to put that in.
Say it again.
Sacred Self at 4 pillars, the number 4, 4pillarscoaching.net. I'll write it in the chat.
Todd wrote it, then I wrote it, now you're writing it.
Just just to make sure.
Roseanne, let me know that you got
it. Triple redundancy, that should do it. Sacred Self at 4 Pillars Coaching.
We got it covered.
Just make sure yeah, mine's right in after Todd. So
hey, it's 111 there. It's 111 there.
It is
where you are.
111.
Yep.
10:11 where you are.
Todd wrote it like 3 more times. And he just put it on the screen. Look at him. He's so fancy. He put it on the screen.
See, high tech. Nice one, Todd. So yeah, if you missed the multiple messages in the chat, that should do it.
It's right there. We are so ridiculous.
So it's an hourly thing. It's $80 an hour. The idea is that we do the sessions and we just connect through that. Once, I basically, all I'm trying to do is make myself redundant by helping you get a handle on the 4 pillars method of dealing with this transition, so that you can start to get really consciously connected to your own like living process, connecting directly to Tom, connecting, and how to keep that going, like what that looks like. Basically, I'll just show you what I was given when I asked for help 30 years ago, and everything that's happened ever since, and connect you with how to move through this in a way that works through those 4 pillars. I'm also studying through the psychologist that my wife and I met through. So I'm doing um, that course now. So I'm getting more training within Byron Katie, particularly Byron Katie, and also the family system constellation work, which is something my wife's going to train in. You're smiling, so someone said something funny.
No. The chat between the various live streaming, because I think he said he's on X and Facebook and YouTube. So some people see the chats and some people don't see some of the things in the chats. And I can't figure out the continuity of it. I'm just getting a kick out of it. That's all. No,
Yeah, right.
nothing,
Well,
nothing
that,
was,
again,
yeah.
yeah, that should do it. But if you're interested in that, just email me and we'll work out a time, and it can be as often as you want. And what will happen too is when you start working with these methods, you become consciously engaged with the direct experience of the transition you're having through these methods. It starts to, like your experience, it starts to get more real, because you've created a field where you want the truth, and you've invited in the self-created
Do I
distortions, and that comes
though?
up to you. Well, yes and no. It's
Do
like we
I
take ourselves
really?
there kicking and screaming.
Yeah.
Hurry
Well,
up, go
at
away.
least we're ending the show with me laughing, right?
And Sarah,
And Sarah.
what we look. You fly into Melbourne. We do this constellation. It kicks up, whew, and then we get in a Land Cruiser, a Toyota Land Cruiser. I set up a camera in the back, and we drive from Melbourne to Central Australia. And I just want to see what
Alice
happens. A road trip.
Springs.
Alice
I want to go to
Springs,
Alice
Central Australia.
Springs.
There's
Hmm.
Rockalaroo. Yeah,
Yep.
and
Yeah.
connect with the Aboriginal community there and get the real story. But the road
Yeah.
trip will be hilarious. Bouncing around in a Toyota Land Cruiser, like, whoa, geez, red dust everywhere, you know, getting
Yep.
blown away by the night sky in the desert, where it's just like mind blowing how many stuff. Finally, there's no light pollution. The sky it's the desert, so there's almost no moisture, and you can see the stars. Like, it's incredible. Lying on your back in a sleeping bag without any tent, just going to sleep with that. And then getting in and then I don't know, the fights. I just want to see you and Sarah going to town on each other post the. Yeah, it's going to be entertaining. We'll film it and we'll put it on the show. Everyone will love it. We'll call it,
Yeah, that's
I don't
true.
know.
Well, I
We'll call it
have
something.
been uploading, for everyone in the chats who doesn't know, I've been uploading Gareth and my private Zooms to my YouTube channel. So if you want to follow my YouTube channel, it's Kate is Awake,
Yeah.
just as it's written on the screen. And I've only uploaded a couple, but we've been talking about doing more and more of those. Um,
And
there's a
again,
different energy when it's us in front of an audience than a different energy when it's us one to one, as it's been all these years.
yeah, I
So,
think sometimes it's a bit more like kind of channeling between us. And yeah, there's something different about it, which is, it has a place. And again, me having 4 days off a week will make all that stuff a lot easier.
yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, I'm ready to call it. How about you?
Me too.
All right.
On that note, the road trip.
Stop talking about me going to Australia. I'm only going when I want to go. Oh, here comes Todd.
Here comes Todd.
Just
All right.
a little outro for you. That's all.
You're a
All right.
sweetie.
We'll see y'all next week.
All right. Love you guys. Thank you.
See you,
Love
everyone.
everybody.
You all.